You spend money on home upgrades to sell it for a higher price, but at least some upgrades are doing the opposite, causing buyers to offer less or walk away as soon as they walk through the door. Are you making any of these mistakes? You'd be awesome if you subscribed and liked this video. 1. The all-gray gray flipper style. I once walked into a recently renovated kitchen. Gray wood-look vinyl flooring, gray cabinets, and even gray tiles. The homeowner was very proud, telling me they'd consulted dozens of home renovation shows on television before choosing this color scheme. I didn't dare say it outright then, but honestly, the kitchen felt as cold as a dental clinic. This has been going on for almost a decade now. Gray used to be the safest choice. Everyone did it, and everyone praised its beauty. But when everyone does the same thing, the market becomes saturated. Now, when prospective buyers walk in and see a brand new gray kitchen, their first reaction isn't admiration, but rather a mental calculation of how much they'll have to spend to tear it down and redo it. I've witnessed buyers deduct $40,000 from the asking price simply because they hated the gray, even though the kitchen was brand new and barely used. If you're planning a renovation, steer clear of this extreme monochromatic approach. Choose warm, neutral tones and natural wood, materials that will still look pleasant and not outdated 10 years from now. Of course, if you really love gray and plan to live in this house for the rest of your life, feel free to do as you please. It's your house. 2. Trendy but impractical fixtures. These three things I've noticed in almost every conversation with recent home buyers: countertop sinks, open kitchen cabinets instead of closed ones, and sliding shed-style bathroom doors. They look beautiful in the promotional photos, the kind of close-up shots interior design magazines use to attract attention. I used to love those sliding doors too, I have to admit. But living with them every day is a different story. The countertop sink has a tiny gap between the bottom and the countertop where dust and water collect, and no matter how much you wipe, it never gets completely clean. The open shelves look great in photos, but after a few weeks you'll find cereal boxes, oil bottles, and all sorts of other clutter exposed, leaving nowhere to hide anything, and the sliding bathroom doors are really problematic. They don't seal properly, they don't soundproof, and everyone knows bathrooms need a certain degree of privacy. The principle I always remind my clients is simple. Form should never compromise functionality. Choose undermount sinks, kitchen cabinets with doors, and traditional hinge doors for the bathroom. If you still prefer this open plan style for other spaces in your home, that's fine. Just don't place it where maximum privacy and cleanliness are required. Sliding doors and vessel sinks are still minor issues. There is one decision in the bathroom that makes families with young children turn around immediately upon walking in to view the house. 3. Removing all bathtubs. I understand why everyone loves the spacious 5-star hotel-style walk-in shower with its transparent glass and rain shower head. I myself would love that design for my main bathroom. But there's one thing I always tell my clients before they tear down their last bathtub: don't do it. People often think only families with young children need bathtubs. The reality is much broader. Pet owners need a place to bathe their dogs and cats. Older adults with arthritis need warm baths to relieve pain. Some people simply enjoy relaxing in a hot tub after a long day, regardless of whether they have children or not. When a house has no bathtub, you automatically eliminate a large number of potential buyers right from the first viewing. I've seen clients walk in, ask directly if there's a bathtub, and when told there isn't, leave immediately. Or if they still like the house, they demand a significant amount of money deducted to tear down the glass shower cabin and replace it with a bathtub. The solution isn't difficult. Keep at least one standard bathtub in the shared bathroom or living room, and feel free to create a luxurious walk-in shower in the main bathroom as you wish. You get both, and you won't lose guests. 4. Eliminating the dining table for a kitchen island. I've seen quite a few kitchens with islands up to 10 feet long, lined up with 6 or 7 bar stools, completely eliminating the traditional dining area. The open plan trend has dominated for the past 15 years, and I understand why people love it. It looks so impressive on TV. Large kitchen islands are also convenient for quick breakfasts or when children are doing their homework. Not to mention that most of those large islands completely eliminate the minimum traffic space. Those of us in the industry usually keep at least 42 inches around the island so two people can comfortably pass each other. The bigger the island, the more that space is reduced. But sitting in a line facing the sink while eating is completely different from sitting opposite each other around a dining table. Family meals require eye contact and conversation, not sitting side by side like at a bar. When prospective homebuyers walk in and don't see a proper place for a dining table, they immediately picture a future where they'll never be able to invite friends or family over for a housewarming, Thanksgiving, or Christmas dinner. For many American families, this is a major drawback, even if they don't mention it during the viewing. My advice is that when expanding your kitchen space, always leave a designated area for a dining table, even if it only seats 4 to 6 people. The kitchen island should serve a supporting role, not completely replace it. If your family only ever eats at the kitchen island and never uses a dining table, then stick to your lifestyle. Just be aware of the potential impact when selling the house later. Have you ever wondered why some families refuse to buy a house just by looking at the backyard? The answer lies right under your feet. 5. Covering the yard entirely in artificial turf. Every weekend, the routine of watering, mowing, and fertilizing becomes so tiresome that many homeowners just want to give up. As a result, many decide to strip away their natural grass and replace it with artificial turf or concrete paving, essentially ending the lawn care problem permanently. It sounds reasonable, but the reality is far harsher. Artificial turf absorbs heat extremely well in the summer sun. I once heard a story about a family with young children and a dog who refused to buy a house because the entire backyard was covered in artificial turf. The surface temperature reached over 140 degrees at midday, making it impossible for children to walk barefoot or run around. Not to mention, if you have pets, the urine odor that accumulates in the artificial turf over time is very difficult to eliminate. In the long term, artificial turf and concrete block the soil's natural drainage, easily causing waterlogging after heavy rains. My go-to solution is to switch to water-saving gardening, using drought-resistant native plants combined with gravel and patches of real grass in less used areas. This significantly reduces maintenance and water bills while maintaining the feel of a real living garden, not a plastic mat left to dry in the sun. If you still find artificial grass more suited to your lifestyle, that's fine. Just don't be surprised if a buyer later asks directly why your yard doesn't have real grass. 6. Removing bedrooms. I had a client in Pleasant in California who bought a 3-bedroom house but found the living room unusually long, so long that even after placing the sofa there was still an empty corner left over. Looking back at the old blueprints, I discovered the previous owner had knocked down the front bedroom wall to expand the living space, probably thinking it was an upgrade at the time. Years later, when the family needed to sell to move to a larger house for their growing children, I advised them to rebuild the wall, replace the doors, and install new wardrobes. It didn't cost much, just a few $1,000s for carpentry and plastering. Thanks to that, the house officially went from 3 bedrooms to 4 on paper. As a result, they sold it for a top price in the neighborhood, enough money for the down payment on their new house without needing to borrow more. This is a story I encounter all the time. People like open spaces and knock down walls, forgetting to look at the number of bedrooms first when valuing a property. 4-bedroom houses always fetch a higher price than 3-bedroom houses in the same area, and the difference is significant. If you want a workspace or a gym, just change the function of the furniture and keep the walls and built-in wardrobes, and that room will still legally be a bedroom on paper. How you use it is entirely up to you. If I told you that you could lose a bedroom without touching the house's structure at all, would you believe me? 7. Removing a bedroom to make a spa and closet. The attraction of a boutique-style walk-in closet needs no introduction. Display shelves for handbags with LED lights illuminating each item like a luxury store, or the home sauna craze accompanied by a cold plunge pool, feeling like having your own private spa right in your house. But when you take an entire bedroom to do that, you are manually downgrading your house by one level without even realizing it. The number of bedrooms is one of the first search filters real estate websites use to show search results. Losing one official bedroom and the house automatically disappears from the sight of the majority of house-hunting families, no matter how beautiful it is on the inside. Not to mention, steam saunas or plunge pools permanently built into the subfloor bring along risks of mold, moisture damage, and long-term structural impacts. I once saw a homeowner who had to spend tens of thousands of dollars to fill in a pool and demolish a steam room before selling, simply because almost every family viewing the house was afraid of subfloor moisture risks. If you want that relaxing experience while preserving the home's value, choose modular, demountable wardrobe units or a standalone infrared sauna cabin that isn't permanently anchored to the floor. You still get to enjoy it. The only difference is that you keep an exit strategy. 8. Eliminating the garage to build a jadu. I once got grilled by the online community for mentioning a jadu without explaining it clearly. It turns out not everyone knows it is a small accessory dwelling unit converted from a garage. To clarify, a jadu is different from a completely detached ADU. It remains within the footprint of the existing house and usually must have an interior connection to the main house, with specific regulations depending on how each city categorizes it. It sounds reasonable at first, taking advantage of the existing walls and roof, saving money on new construction permits, and having an extra room to rent out for steady monthly income. But looking at the front facade of the house after it's done is truly awkward. The driveway leads straight into a brick wall with just a single small window cut into it, and anyone walking by immediately recognizes that it used to be a garage. The bigger issue lies in the buyer pool. Traditional families, especially those dropping 6 or 7 figures to buy a house, almost always expect a parking spot sheltered from the sun, rain, and snow, making it convenient to carry groceries into the house after every Costco run. Losing a 2-car garage, you can practically only sell to investors or buyers looking to flip or rent it out. The buyer pool shrinks significantly. If you truly need the rental income right now, I understand. But be prepared to compensate by building a detached garage or a proper-sized carport so you don't disqualify yourself from the majority of future buyers. There is a type of architectural pairing that makes neighbors point and straight up call the house a Frankenstein house, and that's not an exaggeration. 9. Mismatched architecture. I once went to appraise a Spanish colonial house built in the 1930s, featuring curved roof tiles and classic rough stucco walls that were very pleasing to the eye. Going out to the backyard, I saw a black metal box with a flat roof and large glass windows, exactly the most modern style of ADU one could imagine. Looking at the overall picture, it was no different from someone accidentally dropping a shipping container right in the middle of the yard. The two styles didn't blend together at all. This happens because the homeowner chased after a cheap prefab model or simply had an impulsive liking for modern style without thinking about the fact that it has to coexist with the main house for many years to come. The consequence is losing 2 groups of buyers at the same time. Those who like classic homes find it an eyesore right from the front gate, while those who like modern homes find it a hodgepodge with no clear style. The budget to build an ADU or a home addition is often already over $100,000, so spending an extra amount to match the exterior materials, window styles, and roof pitch with the main house is actually negligible compared to the risk of losing the aesthetic value of the entire property later on. In our industry, we call this losing curb appeal, and this is one of the few aesthetic factors that an appraiser will still note in the appraisal report. It is not purely a matter of anyone's personal taste. 10. Poor quality DIY. My dad used to manage a few rental apartment buildings, and he had a repair style that people in the industry jokingly call the landlord special, applying messy silicone caulk himself and laying tiles himself where some pieces are higher than others. As long as it looked temporarily okay, the job was done. Growing up watching that, I understand very well the mentality of wanting to save on labor costs. Everyone has thought they could do it themselves and save a significant amount. But today's home buyers have a very sharp eye. They see a crooked caulk line or uneven tiles in a small corner, and their minds immediately jump to what is hiding behind the walls. Is the electrical system this sloppy? Was the plumbing done carelessly? From one small detail, they make assumptions about the entire house and then make an offer much lower than the amount you originally intended to save. Sometimes the difference can be as much as $5,000 just because of a few messy caulk lines. I don't oppose the DIY spirit to save money. For painting walls or changing doorknobs, feel free to do it yourself. But for highly technical stages like tiling, installing hardwood floors, or connecting plumbing and electricity, let professional contractors handle it. That labor cost is not an expense but rather insurance for the future sale price. There's a very modern mistake that sits quietly inside the walls, only revealing itself when the technology inside it expires. 11. Overly complex smart home systems. There was a house I once visited to appraise that had a dozen touch screens mounted inside the walls, controlling everything from lighting and window blinds to the security system, all expensive proprietary stuff that was only compatible with one specific brand. The homeowner at the time was very proud, showing off to me that this was the house of the future. 3 years later, I met the buyer of that same house again, and they told me they had to spend nearly $10,000 hiring an electrician to rip out all those outdated screens, patch up the drywall, and install traditional mechanical switches simply because the old control app was no longer updated, and changing the Wi-Fi password once would paralyze the entire system. This is precisely the trap of home technology. Hardware and software become obsolete much faster than the lifespan of a house. A complex hardwired system can cost anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 to install, but after just 3 to 5 years, it becomes a tech liability, and every prospective homebuyer dreads having to hire a dedicated IT engineer just to adjust the lighting system. The solution I often advise is choosing wireless devices based on open connectivity standards, plug-and-play types that are easy to remove and replace without tearing up walls. You still enjoy the convenience of voice control, with the only difference being that you aren't locked into any single brand. 12. Unpermitted upgrades. In an area in Daly City, near the San Francisco Bay Area, I once witnessed a series of accessory units popping up from garages or basements without anyone bothering to get permits. The new owners bought the house, moved in, and neighbors, annoyed by the lack of street parking, reported them straight to the city government. As a result, right after moving in, the buyers faced the choice of either demolishing the entire structure or breaking their backs paying daily fines until the issue was resolved. There were even sadder cases where they had to tear down newly painted drywall just for city inspectors to inspect the electrical and plumbing lines hidden inside. I understand why people are hesitant to apply for permits. The procedures are annoying, you wait for weeks, and permit fees can sometimes reach several $1,000s, but the long-term consequences are much heavier. Bank appraisers always cross-reference the physical floor plan with the records on file at the city building department. A 2000 SQFT house with an unpermitted addition might only be appraised at exactly 1,600 SQFT, effectively wiping out the entire value of the added space. If you plan to alter the home's square footage, electrical panel, main plumbing lines, or gas lines, take the trouble to get proper permits, no matter how time-consuming it is. Doing everything by the book sometimes still fails to save a house, and the reason might sound a bit absurd at first. 13. Overimproving. There's one case I'll never forget where a client followed all the rules perfectly. They built a beautiful 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom add-on unit, obtained all necessary permits, and maintained a completely consistent architectural style with the main house. Yet after months of trying, no one bought it. The reason turned out to be simple. The construction costs had driven the house's value up by over $200,000 compared to any other property in the area. Those with that budget went looking for properties in much more expensive areas, while those wanting to buy in this neighborhood couldn't afford it. The house was stuck between two groups of buyers, untouchable. This is the most painful mistake I've seen, as it often happens to homeowners who are most passionate about their homes, not those who are careless. The value of a house is always constrained by the general price level of surrounding properties, no matter how beautifully you decorate the interior. Before spending heavily on major renovations, take the time to research the price ceilings and potential customer base in your area. If you plan to live in this house for the rest of your life without intending to sell it, then do as you please. That's your right. But if you intend to sell it in the future, exercising restraint at the right time is the wisest way to protect your money. A house is for living in first, selling later. If you plan to sell in the next few years, spend an evening walking around the house asking yourself if every change you've made makes sense to a potential buyer. If the answer leaves you hesitant, that's when you should call a professional before picking up a hammer. What are you hesitating about fixing? Tell me in the comments.